Hello. Are we serious here?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
time to get serious.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to Clear the Noise Radio. This is your host, Jessica Crew, and we have with us today Shirona Gunawardhana.
If your life could be exactly the way you wanted it, what would it look like? Welcome to Clear the Noise Radio, where we interview real people about real hang-ups. Join us as we help you clear what is blocking you from health, happiness, and success. Now here's your host, writer, speaker, musician, and travel enthusiast, Jessica Crew.
Shirona is he is my closest friend. We do a lot together. I think most people who know Shirona know him as a business professional, an IT consultant who does online reputation management, but he's also the author of a book called Nano Transformation, which is about small guilt-free steps that are celebrated small celebrated steps towards a guilt-free life. So it's about just making small changes in your life, which actually end up being big changes in the long run. But most people probably don't know as well that Shirona is moving into a different realm. He's still doing IT work, but he's moving towards the realm of healing. And I believe for a while, Shirona called himself the IT shaman. But let's get him on here and introduce so he can clarify anything I might have missed. Welcome to the show, Shirona.
Thank you. So I have been doing healing at the level of like talking and, understanding people's behavior and that kind of stuff for quite a while. And then I want to step up these efforts to get to even a better stage. Because recently my trip to the West Coast, California and Arizona, I was observing people and the location. It's different. There's a different feel to it. So spiritually and mentally, I think I achieved like a different stage of looking at things in a different way.
That wasn't necessarily a transformative, like a huge transformative moment for you. I mean, you've kind of known that you wanted to do this kind of work for years, right?
Yes, but it helped me look at things differently, because sometimes taking some time away and observing what you have to observe rather than just running. Because one of my friends, Josh Lincoln, and me, we were talking one time about like the movement. The movement doesn't mean that you have to always move. Sometimes you stop and observe the movement.
And I think that's kind of what you've been doing for quite a few years, where you've been sort of observing the fact that you want to go into healing, but you've sort of just worked with people one-on-one, and you haven't really moved into it as a whole life focus, right?
Yeah, most of the time, like I move, they move. Mm-hmm. So now what I want to do mostly is like observe and see what's going on.
Okay.
And sometimes that observance itself helps, and then tell people to take a step back and they observe, not only me observe them, they observe themselves.
Well, speaking of taking a step back and observing what's going on, some of our listeners may be listening to this months later from now, maybe even years later. But right now, what's going on, just to clarify, in our culture today is Trump was elected not too long ago, and there's quite a lot of response to what Trump is doing in the government there, and people seem angry. Facebook wall has been filled with tension, and it feels so heavy. I know I'm not the only one. I've seen a couple people just kind of say, man, this is just so heavy. There's so much commenting and so much stuff out there. And so my question, I guess, to you today, Shirona, is there's been a lot of protesting and so forth that people have been a part of, and there's been a lot of passion and drive towards resistance type movements like that. Did you attend any of the protests?
No, I did not, and I have no intention of attending any protest or pro rallies, support or whatever. I have no interest.
But you're interested in sort of like shifting the dynamics of things, healing communities and making things better for our way of life. Why is it that you don't have an interest in attending these?
Because I intend to lean towards Marcus Garvey's principles, which is like very fulfilling to me. And Marcus Garvey says self-reliance, self-reliance. And he says that twice because that shows how important it is. And then he says carry no weight. So my thing is we don't need to carry the weight of any person or any group. What you had to work on your personal development and see how you can shed that light towards other people, not to be in a state of victimhood. Because my parents always taught me on any given day, you can be the victim or solution. So I believe protesting is good. Some people have to feel good about it and, bring an awareness, but you cannot run away from the process. Like, oh my gosh, there's no solution. Because also what I want to emphasize to you is fear to me stands for false expectations appearing to be real. And most people, they look at this fear and they're like, oh my gosh, this guy is elected. Now it's the end of the world. Everything that we have worked for years, it's gone. But what people don't realize is change takes time and effort. You don't have to panic because people have lived in horrendous situations compared to what we are today. So first observe and see what this guy's doing or what he's about to do, and then see what's going on. See, because like people are even reacting.
That's what I was going to say. And so is it like instead of being reactionary immediately, taking a step back and observing, maybe even strategizing based on that?
Yes, because if you have a reaction and you jump to conclusion and act like, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world, it's always going to be doom and gloom. And then, in my opinion, again, my parents used to say this all the time, if you have a pity party, you'll have plenty of people participating. And I know this might be offensive to some people, but that's how I feel, because when you have this pity party like, oh my gosh, everything is going to come to an end, then everybody else gets together and they protest and they fight against the current rather than finding out a way, okay, the water is flowing, how do I flow with the water to make a difference?
That is a distinctly different way of going about things. Didn't Marcus Garvey himself, though, end up organizing the Black Americans and getting some things done? Like, I know he did some kind of organization. Did he not do any kind of resistance work?
Well, Marcus Garvey's whole principle was, let me show you what I can do first. So he created the Black Star Liner, which is like a large shipping line. And then he first proved to himself and others what he's capable of, where he can reach. And then he said, let me show you that you can do the same thing. So it's not a movement like, oh my gosh, as African American people, or I'm a Jamaican black person in the United States, I'm all this victimhood and I am in trouble, I don't know what to do, we need to protest, we need to go to the street. He's like, no, let me show you as a man at that time what I'm capable of doing. So he raised his level and he operated from a strength rather than a weakness.
Marcus Garvey, to clarify who he is one of the biggest leaders in Black nationalism. Is that correct?
Yes, I think he was one of the biggest proponents of the Back to Africa movement and Pan-African patriotism.
And I know among Rastafarians, he's a pretty big character.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is, because Marcus Garvey was talking about like a lot of things that we are facing today, and even then, all of us in the society, we are looking for a leader. And there's always this lacking thing, like someone else has to do my job so I can follow. Can I join a group? Can I join a protest? Right? So that's why, again, that whole movement of self-reliance, carry no weight, is so important.
Well, I know even for myself that a lot of the protesting that's happening, whether through expression on Facebook or actually organized protests, it weighs really heavy on me. The feeling of it, the spirit of it, you can feel it. Mm-hmm. If something that is meant to be good, something that is meant to be empowering, is out there. I